Hello, my name is Ian Nogelberg. You'll have to excuse me, I am a little bit under the weather, but this is my project 3 for Intro to Microcontrollers. What I have built here today is a calculator that utilizes an LCD screen, the Arduino Uno, and the 4x4 keypad. And so it does basic math, 1 plus 1, you can clear the result, you can do subtraction, you can do subtraction, or you can do multiplication here and division there. This button here is to clear your entry, and the hashtag is for the equal sign. It's fairly straightforward. The first 4 pins are for the respective rows, row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. The next 4 are for the 4 columns, column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4. And they go into Arduino pins 6 through 13. Then the next set of pins of 1 through 5 go to various parts of the LCD screen. The data pins 4 through 7 run into the pins over here. The read-write set to ground so that the LCD is only writing rather than reading. And the circuitry itself is pretty straightforward. Have a potentiometer to change the contrast of the background and whatnot. But I will overview my code here. And so at the top we have our library declarations. In this code we're using the Keypad.h library and the liquidcrystal.h library. These next few lines of code are for initializing the LCD pins, initializing the amount of rows and columns, and mapping out or initializing the mapping of the keypad itself and what the functions are. So as you can see on the right side here, we got addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. C is for clearing the equal sign there. This next set of code is initializing the pins for the rows and columns. Pin 13, 12, 11, and 10 for rows 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. Same thing for the columns. The next set of code is for, well, mapping the actual set of keys so that the code can interpret the values. These are my global variables for the present value, and the present value is a variable that looks for your operation that you're using, so the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. The next one is detecting whether or not both inputs for your numbers have been detected, and those inputs would be number 1, number 2, and then we have an integer for answer, and we have a character or a char for your operation. The setup is fairly straightforward. We initialize LCD with the 16 columns and 2 rows, and we have it print calculator. I will show it doing that really quick. It shows up for just a second before it clears the rest of the screen. As you can see there, it shows up, then it goes away. And so then we move on to our loop, and we have our char key, which is whatever key we've pressed on the keypad. And this essentially is saying if a key is pressed and there hasn't been a operation pressed as well, number 1 is going to be the key that was pressed before. Set the cursor to the first position of the first row and print out the number that you pressed. And else, if you have pressed an operation, then it will go to number 2 and it will do the same thing. And yet after you do that, final will then be true. And final has to do with this else if statement down here, but the next one is handling our operation. So this states if, else if, not present value, and key is not a, and our string character is one of our operations. Then we set the present value Boolean statement to true, and we set our operation equal to the key that was pressed. and we set the cursor back to the starting position, print out the number, and then we print out the operation. And then we move down to here and say that if our operation was addition, then the answer was our first number, convert it to an integer, and our second number, and convert that to an integer. And same thing with subtraction, multiplication, and division, and we show our result as an answer. And this is if you press the C key, then it clears the LCD and it resets all of our Boolean statements, it resets our numbers values, resets the answer, and it resets the operation. The final function is the show result. This is just a function call that I use in the calculation end of things. And essentially all it does is it clears the LCD, sets the cursor back to its original position, types out result, moves down to the next row, prints out the result, delays it for 2 seconds so you can see it, and then clears the screen. And so that is the project. As you can see, if I just do something like 58 times 2, then we should get an answer of 116. And as you can see there, it shows up for 2 seconds before clearing. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you have a wonderful day.